So what did rock bottom appear?
When you come off alcohol, and it's the fear, because every single security hormone is pulled from you. You've gone through all your dopamine, there's no oxytocin, there's no serotonin, there is nothing. So you are raw. And what that raw feels like is, I was sat next to my mom and she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I said, how long? And he said 6 months. That feeling, that sinking feeling, is what you feel every 5 seconds. So if you can do 40 minutes in a hot bath so you can feel your pulse, it's almost mimicking a sauna. And then cold shower, and then just get your parasympathetic nervous system feeling you calming, soothing, all as well with the world.
Davinia Taylor is a UK actress, best-selling author and biohacker on a mission to transform health from the inside out. Once part of London's infamous Primrose Hill set, she battled addiction before hacking her way to peak wellness. Now, she's sharing her story along with the science behind willpower, cravings and energy. Only on Beautiful Inside by Beauticate.
Welcome to Beautiful Inside by Beauticate. I'm Sigourney Cantelo. For over 2 decades as a magazine beauty and health director and founder of Beauticate, I've shared stories about how to be beautiful on the outside. But recently, I've also been on my own journey to uncover what it means to be beautiful within. Inspired by my own experiences with mental health and healing, I'm meeting people who have remarkable stories to share. How have they come back from the brink of adversity and reclaimed their power? How do they continue to nurture their inner selves while creating space for joy, beauty, and well-being? This season of Beautiful Inside is brought to you by Dermalogica, a brand that I've trusted for years to keep my skin happy and healthy. When I flew to LA at the end of last year to interview their founder Jane Werland and tour their head office, I remembered why I love this brand so much. Dermalogica is all about results. It's clean, cruelty-free, and the products actually work, because they've been trusted by skin therapists around the world since 1986. Now, I try a lot of products, and whenever my skin has a hissy fit or if I'm traveling, I strip it all back and go back to Dermalogica. It's like my skin's safe space. Now, before we launch into the chat, I want to ask you a very quick favor. If you enjoy this episode, please hit the subscribe button. You have no idea what a difference it makes. I will continue to throw everything I have at creating this podcast, finding the best guests and having the most raw and authentic conversations. Speaking of which, let's get into this week's chat. I hope you enjoy it. Beautiful Inside acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land that this podcast is recorded on, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Thank you for having us here in your beautiful rented home.
Very
your
rented.
Australian home.
Goals.
It's amazing. I like to start at the very beginning with this podcast, so right back to childhood, where it all really begins. Talk me through your childhood.
Okay, lovely childhood. Mum and dad, they were together at the time, only child. They would have obviously wanted more children, but mum got breast cancer straight after me. So back in those times, it was like, you don't have any more children because you'll fire it back up again. So I think that's where I felt quite lonely. Not because I didn't have lots to do and stuff, and I have friends, but it was a quieter house than I would have liked. And it kind of makes sense as I've gone on through my journey how I do need extra stimulation to feel alive. We'll go into ADHD later. But it definitely set me up to be a daydreamer, use my imagination a lot. I could entertain myself, always climbing trees, that sort of thing. Lots and lots and lots of sort of fantasizing and, sort of, it was great. Really, really, it was good because it made me use my brain, which makes me worry about kids nowadays on the,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're,
no trauma, nothing like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you kind of had to unpick that when you went through rehab years later and you were looking for the trauma, I guess. Your parents were quite entrepreneurial.
Yeah, so they grew up in a very poor background and then, just fought their way through it. And my mother was a hairdresser, but still a very, very creative, extremely creative woman. My dad was an entrepreneur. He's done every single job under the sun, and they created a business selling toilet roller back in the 80s. Which they were the first people to do using recycled pulp from like old newspapers and stuff. So they were the first ahead of the time to get into the recycling environmental aspect way back then. So that's really sort of forward thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
they remained together until
I was about 17.
Right.
And weirdly today, someone's just texted me and I don't acknowledge it. Someone said, "Oh, I'm lighting a candle for your mum today. So she died on this day." And you just think, wow, God, that's a sign. Yeah. I'm not very like that. I'm not very spooky or woo-woo or anything, but it's weird because you just think, I've just been talking about her so much today, and then wallop, someone texts me because I don't commit that date to memory. I mean, I don't do dates anyway. I'm useless. I forgot my husband's birthday so many times, and he's like, do you know what date it is? And I'm like, oh no, I done it again. But you know, it's funny, isn't it? And that will come into that, and sort of like the law of attraction and manifestation or whatever it is. But yeah, my mum was an incredible force of nature. She had terrible pain issues with a condition called scoliosis, back issue, so that was agony for her, which obviously meant medication, which meant liver issues, the immune system, and I think that's probably what brought the cancer on as well, you know, because of all the endless meds. I don't think her poor body could take it, and then obviously that's when cancer gets in. But on a lighter note, everything I'm doing now, I always think, of course, she'd be so proud, and she'd be so excited by the brand, because my company's called Willpowders. And for someone who feels like she's never had any willpower, me, I've never been able to say no, or I'll just have a bit. This is exactly what I needed. Yes. So it's kind of selfish really, but she'd have been so proud that I've used something that I've struggled with all my life, because I used to say, I can't stop eating, I can't stop doing, you know, I just want more, you know.
And that was the dopamine, you see.
Yeah, and we didn't know that back then. And she'd be so proud that now it's actually a community. It's not just a business. I think we've got about nearly 250,000 women, and there's a few men on there now actually, because it's a family brand really, on Facebook and across our socials, all just talking about, wow, this is it, this is the brain. Because one of my mantras is, and I know I talk fast, but you'll understand, but one of my mantras is feed the brain and the body's going to follow. So what looks like a weight loss brand isn't really, it's about a brain
sort of
nurturing, well, kind of a good fats, and just basically giving the brain what what it needs. So then you make wiser decisions. You don't have the donuts. You don't even crave the donuts. So it's not even on the radar. And that's like a real freedom from the addiction of ultra-processed foods.
I really like the way you flipped that whole concept, whereas often, you know, the proteins, it's all about the body, but you're actually looking at how you actually hack your brain and your
neurodiversity or neurotypical, you know, because we forget that the products that I'm born in the 70s, right, raised in the 80s, and since being bottle fed, our brains have been hijacked with something called bliss point foods. They're ultra-processed foods, which have actually been designed by mathematicians, not dietitians, mathematicians. And there's a bell curve when they're doing their research, before they launch a product, there's a bell curve to see at which point does the combination between polyunsaturated fat, sugar, and salt, where on that bell curve hits the most addictive point. And it's a bliss point food. Wow. And so you have these mathematicians being poached across the big food companies to make it the next big hit. God. And we're
just lab rats.
We are lab rats, but we are at Willpowders. We're the opposite.
Yeah.
We sell things that actually stop the cravings.
Mm.
And so it's kind of like, you maybe think about us maybe once a day, as opposed to when you're looking at, say, a big company like Mars Company, Unilever, you're thinking about their products multiple times an hour. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So it doesn't matter which one you pick, they all feed into each other. It's fascinating. I mean, it's a perfect business model. Yeah. Let's get everyone from the age of addicted to these hyperpalatable foods. And there we go. We've got a customer for life. So,
well, I do want to talk more about the diet and all the hacking soon. Then I want to go back to school, back to, you know, had these wonderfully successful parents. What point did they get all the success from the loo roll business? Was that
loo rolls? I think I'd probably be late teens. Although, I mean, obviously they had a business. They didn't sell out.
Salon?
I remember being in the salon when I was a tiny baby.
And that's where you learned how to hydrogen peroxide.
Well, no, I mean, we're talking, I was like 4.
So no, not there, but later.
But yeah, I mean, because we've always had permanent solution at home, bleach, hair dye. Yeah. I mean, that smell just takes me straight back to my grandmother's house, because she used to perm my grandmother's hair. Yeah, she was always cutting everyone's hair. So that is real nostalgic for me. So yeah, I'm not terrified of bleach or any doing my own highlights, because I can't be bothered sitting in a hairdresser's chair for 4 hours.
Yes.
And I've often joked about looking in that mirror. I'm like, who does the lighting? Who does the
lighting?
In there? You like walk out, you think, I need a facelift.
Well, I guess they need to see what they're doing.
But it's just like depression lighting, and you're just faced with it.
That's
like,
true,
at least put a TV on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awful.
It's true.
So no, I'm really lucky that I can do that, because I can carry on doing like the washing or whatever I'm doing the kids' dinner.
How often do you reckon you do your own hair?
Well, it used to be like every sort
Colour
of
your own
6
bleach.
weeks.
Bleach.
But then I started taking the collagen, and obviously I'm a bit older anyway, but it really grows super fast now. So it's kind of like every 2.5, 3 weeks. So it's like a real cost effective to learn how to do it yourself, and it's time.
I think you should do some videos on that.
I did one actually in lockdown, because obviously that's why I really learned to do it, because I did a live with a friend of mine who owns a salon, and I said, okay, show me what to do. How do we do this? And I did it step by step in lockdown. It was like about 3-hour tutorial.
Oh my gosh, is it still up? I must see.
Yeah, it's way down the page. But you're right, I should do one.
Yeah, you should.
Because I've got tons of different streaks, and I'm walking around Glamorama here. And everyone's got them all natural. I'm like, God, I have to sit in my kitchen with like all different colours and pots. But no, it's
very good at it. So yeah, the question was, at what point did they really hit the success with the?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like late teens really, when you become aware of it. Otherwise, I was in the same house. I mean, we had a lovely cottage, really nice house, but it was quite isolating because it was in a field. In a field. Well, not far from a town, but obviously I couldn't drive. So it's kind of isolating, hence me saying I felt a bit lonely. To be honest, that wasn't relevant at all, because I'd have my school friends, and we, you don't suddenly disappear and go to Switzerland to boarding school. None of that. No, I was still with my mates from school, and that was it. It didn't really impact as much as people might think, to be honest.
And so then at what point did you decide to become actress?
Oh, well, that's just classic me. So I was in the middle of what we've got is A-levels. It's like the exams you take before you go to university. So yeah, I was doing what we call A-levels in the UK, and that's like your gateway to university. And I was studying business economics and theatre studies as well. Long story short, I went for an audition to go on a soap. They offered it to me, and I just went, forget university, I'm not interested, and walked out. And my parents were like, you're doing what? And it's literally like saying, oh yeah, I'm running off to join the circus. No one becomes an actor, not when you've had formal education. It's like, don't be insane. But, it was great. We had a fantastic time. It paid off. I literally...
So that was Hollyoaks? That was the audition that you did?
Yeah.
At school? Like...
I was like just 17, because I just got my
So
driving
they were
license.
auditioning school?
Well, I was 17. So, yeah. I mean, you have much younger kids in there anyway. Yeah, of course. Okay. Of course. We were talking about 1996.
Yeah, right. And that was pretty wild, those years.
Yeah, great. And do you know what? It's actually really sad, because just last week, a friend of mine, who was in that show with me, he's just died. Oh, God. I know, and it's just awful. And
was it from adoption stuff?
God knows, I don't know this. I've not been to see the family or anything because I was here, but, it really drives it home. Wow, I can't. He's such a nice guy. Just the funniest guy, and it actually weirdly set us all up in a WhatsApp group again, and we've reconnected. And God, it's like 30 years ago. Wow. And it's really not, and you zoom in on pictures and you go, oh my God, I still see you as that 19-year-old, you know what I mean? Yeah, fantastic time. Basically it was being like away at college.
Yeah.
But we kind of got paid.
Frat house.
It was that.
Yeah.
It was absolutely that. The camaraderie, that we're away from home, wow, we can do it. It was exactly the same as that.
Yeah, really. Lots of drinking, lots of partying.
Yeah, but as you know, when you're a kid, you bounce back.
Yes.
You really bounce back from colds, flu. No, you never have a sore back. Never have a hangover. You just literally don't need any sleep for anything. So you can have 2 hours sleep and you're fine. If I don't have my solid 8 hours, I'm like,
forget about it.
Yeah, so it just shows you how we're not as resilient as we are.
It's true.
Yeah, it was like a frat house, like you said, and it was lovely. It was lovely. Actually.
It was good fun.
Yeah.
And then moved to London.
Yeah.
And all the Primrose Hill set, and all the partying. What was that like, that period?
Well, I mean, that's kind of something I want to close the door on, because that's always been really gnarly represented.
Yes.
You've got people there with really high profiles, which I don't think it's fair to talk about them behind their back. I respect every single one of them. So, I mean, again, you're in your early 20s. Yeah. It's what everyone does. You play out, you go to pubs. It's very pub culture in the UK. Yeah. And again, what a laugh. Yeah. What a laugh. Surrounded by creatives. Yeah, we're surrounded by creatives.
And thank God there was no social media back then.
I don't think it would have. Something's changed. It's stopped kids from drinking. So for me, I'm just like, I don't think it would have been the same. You can't, when you're being looked at, or you can't relax. How I'm talking to you now is going to be slightly different to how I'll talk to you off camera. That's how it is. Yeah. We're on guard because we get judged by strangers, and so that worries me about kids today. They don't have the freedom to make mistakes. They don't have the freedom to express themselves, and they're guarded. They're always like this. The teacher taking pictures. So it's like, It's a strange old world. However, there's a flip side that people aren't getting drunk, blackout drunk as much. However, if you're not going to do it then, when are you going to do it? I mean, I don't know how it will change.
So you're doing it all.
Well, exactly, but you know, it's
Kids will though.
Kids
will.
will push boundaries, and it's like, it's a shame that things have to be, I don't know, we just have to see. It's a new science, you know, completely new science.
So that was a period of, you know, pretty wild years. And at what point with the alcohol did you realize you had to stop? I know there was a story about where you fell over in the street.
You don't really know you have to stop
Yeah.
until you, well, for me, it was like a couple of months of sobriety, then it kind of clicked.
Oh, so you go on and not like you go.
Well, yeah, because no one tells you have a disease. No one tells you that it's a two-pronged disease, that, you know, you have a mental obsession, that you can control your drinking constantly. So even when you're not drunk, it's there.
Yes,
but as soon as
body
that
goes into
chemical
withdrawals.
goes into, no, even if you're not in withdrawal, you just think, I'm fixed again. And this is after like nearly 20 years of sobriety.
I'm fixed when I drink.
No, let me explain myself. So the disease of alcoholism or addiction of anything, be it food, be it drugs, be it shopping, I mean, there is a mental obsession. Even someone who's been abstinent for 10 years, that if they don't work a program, they will start convincing themselves that they can go back to day one of drinking normally like a lady.
Yeah.
And that will constantly tick over in my head until the day I die, unless I work a program. Now, I don't want that obsession. I don't want that negotiation in my head, so I work a program around it. However, if I was to pick up a drink, so that's the first prong of the disease. It's a strange subconscious mental obsession that I can control my drinking. But if I did try one drink, there's a chemical reaction in me. It's not the same as everybody else. That's not the same as anyone else except another alcoholic. That chemistry clicks on an insatiable craving for another. And you can't control that. All bets are off from the first drink. Wow. So there's a saying that the first drink gets you drunk, and I never used to understand that. But if I don't have the first drink, I won't get drunk. And you just like, I don't get that. Of course, it's on the third drink I'll start getting tipsy. No. The first drink, I guarantee, be it 24 hours, be it a week, I will be drunk eventually. So I have to stay away from the first drink because we can't control it. Science hasn't got an answer yet. And so there's no point risking it.
Do you still do AA?
Yeah, I do a 12-step program. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like, how often do you?
Like maybe twice a week.
You go to an online meeting or?
No, in person.
Oh wow! So you go to the ones in Sydney?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. People swear by it. I mean, it's obviously when I went to rehab too for anxiety, but just being in there, we went to some meetings and it's so interesting. Like just seeing the way it's helped people, but it's not for everyone.
I think the strange thing is it actually is for everyone because everyone's got an ism and none of us are taught a program of life skills of how to identify what your fears are, what your triggers are, write them down and I suppose nowadays with more of the self-care, we do things like journaling, you write a resentment list, which is exactly what you're doing now. You share it with a friend, which is exactly what AA does. I think weirdly, when you look at like all the 12-step programs, they're kind of like what self-care books suggest, but they do it in a different way. This is a program and it's a guarantee as well. You follow these steps, you will have an absolutely spiritual change.
Absolutely.
There's nothing else that guarantees.
I think 12 step is amazing. I think
I
wish there were more. Like I'd like to do at AA, but I had problems with saying I'm an alcoholic because I never felt like.
So what would your ism be?
What do I go to, like addictive wise?
Well, yeah, not substance, but a behaviour. It's not necessarily the substance; it's the behaviour that drives you to it. So it's probably maybe you've got codependency.
Yeah, I've got codependence.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you go to Coda, easy peasy. So then you've got a 12-step program to see your behaviours around other people.
Yes,
Boom,
yes,
done.
done.
And then you will get and then it's not actually about the behaviour or the substance. It's about optimizing how you feel day to day and having resilience and having a faith and in something's protecting you. You've got a different boss then. I'd highly recommend it. Go through the 12 steps and see how your perception.
I went to a few meetings and maybe I didn't find my people. I think I need to try more.
It's not about them, it's about you.
Yeah, right.
And you've got a program there and you do it and it doesn't matter about it. It's literally principles, not personalities. It doesn't matter who's in the room, it doesn't matter who you
It's a real discipline though.
It is a discipline.
It's so hard.
It is a discipline.
Going to those meetings.
Well, it's an hour.
Yeah.
It's an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine how much time you spend on your phone.
Yeah. Hours upon hours.
And, so it's kind of like, oh, it's not for me.
Yeah.
how do you know unless you've tried it and done the steps? No.
And there's also COA, adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families, which I found really good as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many groups, and then you've got Al-Anon as well, which is like...
That's similar, isn't it?
Yeah, that's for the people who are affected by alcoholism, but weirdly, the Al-Anon, or the people who are affected by it, those groups are a bit more intense as opposed to the alcoholics, addicts who end up having a huge laugh about it. It's very uplifting.
Yeah,
because
because
it's a
I
kind of
liked
variety.
AA. I really liked people. So.
Yeah, this is it. This is it. But you know, it is what it is. I didn't want to go to AA. You're joking. Me. Disciplines.
And sitting in a quiet room with your ADHD brain.
No, it's absolutely crazy. And there's so many people in there who say, yeah, I am. Yeah. But of course, you know, we're not really meant to be confined in an office, this tribe of people. Right. We are excitement-seeking people. And you know, we're just living in maybe a world that's not quite geared up for us. It's an evolutionary mismatch.
It'll work it out eventually.
Eventually.
So talk me through the rehab. So you asked before, how did you know you had to stop drinking? How many rehabs did you do before South Africa? How did all that eventuate?
Maybe about 3.
Wow.
But I walked out, you know.
Each time?
Yeah.
You got the
I just had the EBGBs. It just gave me the creeps.
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
They were very different back then as well.
Well, what's probably talking 2000 and something. Yeah. I just wasn't open to it. It just wasn't my time.
You weren't ready?
No, I didn't want to. I felt very secure. Alcohol was my solution. Yeah. It was everything else that was the problem. Yeah. You know, so that bolstered my energy. It bolstered my mood. It made the unbearable doable. So
did you have a child yet? You do. You had.
Yeah.
And was it one of those things that you just slipped steadily into with the wines after bedtime? Like, how did it?
No, it was. I had IVF, and I think messing around with my hormones really exacerbated the low I felt. So I didn't have any. I'm assuming when you have IVF, I mean, there's a lot of women who get postnatal depression after IVF, and you don't get told that. And instead of looking at your hormones, like your estrogen, your progesterone, they put you on antidepressants. And because I was like manic, they'll put me on mood stabilizers.
So they put you on bipolar?
Yeah.
That was then?
Yeah. And
so were you still drinking then?
Yeah, of course, because that's not going to work.
I'm just trying to figure out the timeline.
Yeah, because it's the wrong diagnosis. So they say, oh yeah, don't drink on that. I'm like, well, but it's not working, because that wasn't the problem. Problem was I had
you were misdiagnosed by Harley Street.
Well, by any doctor.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing back then. Every woman was bipolar.
Oh,
it was
really?
a very huge trend for that. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So that was the diagnosis.
And those meds just like made you flat.
Yeah, and then very sort of empty, and then. Of course, what you're going to do if you feel empty, you're going to reach for something that's going to boost light you up, which of course is a glass of wine, a little glass of rosé. But I can't do one because I've come off the cliff really fast. Within 3 minutes, I'm like feeling the come down, yeah. So you have another one. And I wasn't aware of this pattern. Like I wasn't aware of the pattern with sugar. It's the same mechanism, you know, it pulls it down, so you just need more. And I've got to be really aware of that when I'm explaining to people what it is, because we just have one, because that doesn't affect them. It's very, I mean, I've said time and time again, I'm really lucky that I hit rock bottom I was 30, and I've had all this sobriety. Imagine there's so many women in this grey area who didn't push it as hard as I did to the nth degree, and they're like still waiting for the end of the day for the acceptable time to have a glass or a bottle of wine. Absolutely. And it's like, wow, that's all they think about from 2 o'clock, from lunchtime, not long now, not long. It's just torture, it's purgatory, because they know they shouldn't, but they have to take the edge off, to make them feel better, to give them energy, to give them confidence, just to relax. I mean, it is so pushed on us, and it really, really affects women going into the perimenopause, because all hormones are dropping fast, and this stuff is like having gasoline onto a fire.
And that's why so many alcoholic women in that age group, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they start coming around to it, like, oh my God, what started off as just something normal is now a mental obsession. I cannot stop thinking about
and then
every
for
weekend.
hiding the bottles in the hamper.
But it's not even that. It's not even like secret drinking. It's like, I have to get to the weekend. And it's like the whole of your thought process is waiting. So getting over the shame and guilt of what happened at the weekend, whether you acted out or, I don't know, you sent a nasty email because you're under the influence, and then you do a week of sobriety, and then you're like back on it again. You never learn that lesson that it's the alcohol that is hijacking my brain, 24/7, whether I'm drunk or not. I'm saying I'm not going to
So
drink.
you don't even
I'm not
have to
gonna
be a
drink.
daily drinker to be
Oh,
under the
no.
clutches. Yeah,
No,
that's
not
those
at
kind of
all.
weekend.
Yeah, it's the peaks and the troughs, and it's like, I'm not drinking again this weekend, and by Thursday, okay, well, it's the weekend, I deserve it.
Yeah,
And the same goes with cakes. The same goes with like shopping. I mean, it's crazy, and no one's and it's pushed by the media. Treat yourself, because they've got a vested interest, and it's hard work doing the mental seesaw. It's like, oh, Dan, can't I? The negotiation is exhausting.
So true, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what did rock bottom look like for you?
When you come off alcohol, and it's the fear, it's the absolute, because every single security hormone is pulled from you. You've gone through all your dopamine, there's no oxytocin, there's no serotonin, there is nothing. So you are raw. And what that raw feels like is, okay, so let me put it to you. When I was sat next to my mom and she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I said, how long? And he said 6 months. That feeling, that sinking feeling, is what you feel every 5 seconds as you're withdrawing. You're like, and you brace yourself for the next vroom, come down. It's a physical drag down your body, and you feel like your veins are filled with the devil himself, and evil is in you. And that is a rock bottom that I'd remember that every single morning. Thank God I don't have to experience that for real, because I can feel it now, and it'll send a shiver down my
God,
spine.
I can feel it too.
Your worst fear, your worst experience, constantly.
Oh, that's
So, and there's no relief from it.
And
until
people
you
are
get
so judgy about alcoholism and addiction, and like when you put it like that, you think, God, like they're just surviving.
That's what you're experiencing. And the weird thing is, I know people who I went to school with, who we all drank together, So they've drank for another 15 years, 16 years more than me, but they're not alcoholic. So they're like, you're an alcoholic. I'm like, I've drank less than you. People are like, oh God, you're an alcoholic. So when was your last drink? Like, well, last weekend. I'm like, try 16 years. Do not judge me.
No.
But they do, because they don't. They don't, because no one's managed to articulate it. You can't experience the pain unless I say something like that. And that is the same feeling. So when you're drinking to survive, because if you don't, you'll kill yourself, because that is an unbearable place of fear. And that is hell. It's hell. And you feel that at least 5 days constantly until the alcohol's left the liver. But those 5 days feel like an eternity. They feel like the time warps. You don't sleep properly. You have nightmares, and you have this vroom feeling, and you wake up in the night like that. Something's going to happen, and you don't know what. There's no imagination. It's just the reaction to something, and that goes on for at least 5 days until alcohol clears. And that's why most people can't do a week and get through it, because they don't know you've got that window for the liver to clear. Whether it's one glass of wine, one bottle, or a litre of vodka, it's the same impact on it's not the same impact on the liver, but the liver still takes about 5 days to clear it. That's why.
And that's when the people every weekend. That's why I used to.
And that's when weirdly you forget.
Yeah.
Because you go, you've got so much relief because you feel better. You go, I know what was going to make me feel even better. And that's the crazy. It's the insanity of any sort of addiction or behaviour or ism that we all do. That's self-harmed.
Absolutely. Now, I heard a story of you telling that story of when you were going to Sainsbury's or somewhere to pick up some food, and you collapsed in the street.
Yeah. So I must have drank the night before. Anyway, that's what happens. Your body's going into withdrawal, or it goes into a seizure. And I just woke up in a local hospital, my face all busted. And my only instinct was, we have all the doctors around me stitching me up, my mother crying, and I could just think, there is a pub across the road. If I have a glass of wine, I can get up, I can go home, I can function.
That is trying to survive again.
Yeah, because and I think you'll find that that's what you have to do in hospitals, because the body goes into shock, because it's an energy source. Yeah. Remember, alcohol it creates energy within the brain, and you're going brain dead.
Yeah, right.
So that's why it happens. There is a molecule in there that boosts the brain, and people don't understand that. It's more for the energy rather than.
But it wears off after 20 minutes, doesn't it? That high. Like if you get that
there
first
is
high.
but it's not even a high. It's like it's seconds. It's not a high. No, it's not a lift, it takes you out of the purgatory, that sinking feeling.
Oh no, I'm not talking about
It's-
alcoholics. I mean, for the general public, when we have a drink, we get that feeling that
Yeah, but I
it
wonder,
only lasts something like 20 minutes.
but I wonder what happens to them afterwards, because I'm like, why don't you reach the other one to get, if the buzz has gone down, why aren't you pepping yourself back up? I don't understand. So I was just doing some filming down on the beach here, and I saw a bottle of wine, and it was like 3/4 full.
Yeah.
I'm like, who'd leave that? You still got more to drink.
Yeah.
So that's how my mind still works.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, wow.
What a waste.
What a waste. What a weird. Actually, what a weirdo.
What a weirdo.
Not the fact that they left litter there or anything like that. Just the fact they'd left actual elixir wine there. I'm like, wow, that my alcoholic brain is still there.
Still there. Wow. And so how quickly did you end up going to South Africa after that moment?
I'm not entirely sure. It's a little bit of
It's a bit hazy.
it's a bit hazy, and so the thing is, you go to South Africa is because you could do a long stint. It's very, very expensive
long
rehab
do
in UK. I mean, we're talking hundreds
Oh,
of thousands.
rehab is very expensive.
Yeah. So down in South Africa, it's way cheaper, like a 20th of the price, and also you are isolated. I'm in a country I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, you go out. The compounds can be pretty dangerous down there, so it's kind of like, okay, let's try and put a survival instinct in here and just stay in. And that was it. It was just, you were in.
Yeah.
And people all over the globe. And so it's 3 months in there rather than the usual month.
Yeah.
And I needed that.
Changed your life.
I needed that because I would have tried to logic myself out of it, that it's because of this, because of getting divorced, it's because of no, I'm just, as one of the guys in there, I'm just a garden variety alcoholic. This is the disease. It's got nothing to do with anyone else.
Didn't have to have trauma.
You don't have to have trauma. You don't have to have a divorce. You don't have to have X, Y, and Z. It doesn't have to be raining. It doesn't have to be sunny. You just got this disease, and let's arrest it.
Yeah.
And that took a long time for me to even understand that it was a disease, because of course it's only what we see on TV. You know,
Yes.
it's
always
it's
got a trauma
indulgent.
backstory.
Always got trauma backstory. Always about selfishness, and which it is. It's a disease that makes you selfish because you cannot think about anything except your own survival, and that's why you can't just pull yourself together. You need the support of others, and science doesn't understand it, so I don't question it. I put one foot in front of the other, and whatever gets thrown in my way, I get on the phone to another alcoholic and we talk it out. I don't have some fancy therapist.
Do you sponsor people, or do you have a sponsor still?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've got a sponsor, but right now I'm not sponsoring
time.
anyone. No, but I should do, and that's what I should do, because I need to give back. I shouldn't sit there rent free. I should absolutely do that. But right now I'm making excuses, and that is what I'm doing. I don't want to let someone down, but I'm on the other side of the planet. I should do. I should give back properly. But whenever I'm asked to do something like a chair or whatever, I'm there.
Yeah. That's amazing. So what did you learn in this particular rehab that you've held on to and has been a big part of your healing?
That it's not my fault.
Yeah.
That it wasn't indulgent. That it wasn't me wanting to party.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. And that it can happen to anyone. And nobody sets out to drink so much they become an alcoholic, because, like I said, these people drank way, way more than me, and they're not alcoholics. You know, a lot more than me. Like, there's a lot of wine to be drank over 16 years, and it doesn't touch them. So it's a disease that you cannot mitigate, whether it's a slight genetic thing, who knows? But then you've got epigenetics that sits over the top of DNA. So you're like, who knows? But it's like, I'm not going to ask, but it's a great disease to have when you arrest it, because boy, the opportunities it gives you, the camaraderie it gives you, it's fascinating. I'm blessed to have this because I can live with it, you know? I can live it. I put it into remission every day.
It's amazing. So after rehab, what did the next few years look like? How did you kind of stick into the overeating? Because there was another addiction that kind of took hold of you.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a little bit, well, I was an overeater anyway, you know, of course. And we were educated to have like 6 portions of carbohydrates a day, you know, the cereals, the all brands, the fibers, more. And that, obviously, anyone will tell you, you know, it calms the nervous system. Carbohydrates increase serotonin and GABA, so it brings down any sort of levels of anxiety you might have. So you kind of biohacking with the carbs anyway. So I'm one of these people that doesn't, if I'm stressed, I don't go thin, I go chubby. So that was always there. I was always trying to do a calorie controlled diet. I was always trying to do low fat. Little did I know that was extremely detrimental to my brain.
Yeah, you were fat like all of us from the 90s.
Well, it was longer. I think it was it was the 70s when the Eat Well plate came out, and it was six portions of grains a day, and it still is. And weirdly, there's a brilliant woman called Zoe Harcum who has debunked it and said, yeah, the agricultural industry actually put that research forward.
Yeah,
so we've been having, and it's still in schools, it's still in like hospitals, it's still in doctors, that's what makes it. Six big portion
grains a day.
Yeah, and little meat. I think the Swiss health authorities say no meat at all.
Do they?
Yeah, currently, yeah. Obviously there's a huge sort of like environmental agenda with like you take meat out and you eat fake meat, and I'm thinking, I wonder how much water that takes to manufacture weird. Anyway, obviously I flipped that completely, and my brain's better than it ever was. I have a lot of red meat, I have a lot of fat, and I have a lot of.
Do you have grains?
Not really, no, because it's really, really addicting for me.
Okay.
And if I do, I generally have them at the end of the day.
Yeah, you like to have carbs.
Yeah, because it tips you into a carb coma.
So what sort?
So I have sourdough cheese on toast, one of my favourite, dipping in soup, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm kind of fat fueled throughout the day. Protein, like protein powders with great MCT fat in it, which gets turn the brain on. Basically what I was looking for with the alcohol. I use a ketone to drive energy to my brain. But yeah, nighttime is for chilling out and relaxing. So heavier vegetables, the sourdough, the potatoes. I'm sleepy after that. I mean, why I'd have a sandwich during the middle of the day and be sleepy for the rest of the afternoon, I do not know.
That makes sense. Yeah,
but
you discovered then that you were eating to cope with the emotions of your mum.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Well,
So
I mean,
5 was that?
Yeah, so I was pregnant with number 3
Yeah.
when we got that awful diagnosis. And after she passed away, there was nothing for me to do. I mean, I went into rage to anger, of course. Why did I not get her to a clinic faster? Why didn't I? All the same old. I was in shock as well. And then I had Asa. I had Asa just before she died, which was great because I've got a picture of her holding him, but she looks really ill, so it's just not right. You know what I mean? You just think, God, she would have just adored the fact I've got 4 boys who are all so different, and it kills me every day. Of course, there was no way I was relapsing into alcohol because I had a great program, but I didn't know that I was overeating. I didn't know that I was overeating the wrong foods. I didn't know that I was under-nurturing my brain. I didn't know that I was causing my brain insulin resistance. I was feeling flatline in my brain, which
Are you
is like,
still on the bipolar meds?
Asa, yeah. And this is when I went to the doctors, but we moved house because by which time I was getting pregnant with Jude. So like a couple of years later, I was pregnant with Jude.
That's your 4th?
Yeah, and so I'm moving doctors, and you have to register the kid. Moving house because we need a bigger house, so you have to get registered at a local doctors, and that's when I changed doctors. And the NHS doctor, which is our sort of free healthcare system, he was just a young guy, Dr. Sajid, and he brought up my list because he was looking at the kids, tick, and he went, "Bloody hell, what's happened to you? This is quite the concoction." And I explained my story, and he went, no, you need to be off this, let's wean you off. So if I'd not moved house, I could still be on all those meds thinking I'm a crazy chick who has to live flatline because I'm on the wrong medication, and otherwise if I don't take it, I'm going to have a manic episode. That wasn't the case. I am not bipolar, and I'm not even depressed.
Wow.
I know.
That's crazy. You think about all those years that...
Yeah, but what about all the people who haven't moved doctors?
Yeah, all the people
or the doctors who
misdiagnosed and...
I mean, it's really powerful drugs. They're really powerful drugs, and the concept that antidepressants make you happy is wrong. They are not happy pills. They don't make you happy. Actually, they gave me anhedonia, which is just like an indifference, a flatline, complete flatline to life, which is like we was talking before about ashwagandha.
Yeah. You think you got the same reaction from looking at ashwagandha?
Yeah, I mean, just look. You'll feel. Just Google ashwagandha flatline anhedonia, or you'll see. I would never. I mean, I put in both my books. Swerve that. It'll blunt you, blunt you from the joy, blunt you from the anxiety, but blunt you from the joy. And I'm just like, I don't want to be blunt. I want to be happy. Obviously sad, not depressed, not anxious. I want to be happy, resilient. You know what I mean? Yeah, we got to be careful about flatlining ourselves and just thinking that's the new norm.
So many of us are on antidepressants.
Yeah. I mean, there's a really good book called Can Medicine Be Cured by Dr. Seamus Mahoney. Hysterical, but very tragic, how it's kind of like you go to your doctor and it's like, you have to get a prescription, otherwise you feel like you've been hard done by.
Yeah.
You know, if you've not got your money's worth.
Yeah, you need to walk out with some kind of solution.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we have a prescription cascade. Because obviously you got antidepressants, then more often than not your metabolism slows down, and then you can get diabetes, and you're on metformin, you got the side effects, and then that drives up all sorts of risks. Oh, then they'll put you on bloody cholesterol drugs. Anyone over 40 needs to have low cholesterol apparently. So I mean, there's a cascade of side effects that we constantly jump on, and touch wood, I don't need any medication at all now, but I would have been part of the system had I not moved house and that doctor went, let's pull you off all this.
Was there a crash when you came off?
No.
It? Just stop taking it?
No, you have to
have to, yeah.
No, there is no crash. I mean, there's a bit of a rebound effect, but nothing as ferocious. I mean, I've been through alcoholism. It's just walk in the park.
And so then you started researching the BRCA gene and your
because obviously because of my mum and I don't carry the BRCA gene, but I just thought, hang on, what? I was doing a DNA test, and I just thought, when I started researching the BRCA gene, it opened up my mind to DNA. What had I inherited? And that was when we started looking, well, as the medical community, and started looking and researching into more genes and the methylation system, and why I need to have methylated B12 vitamins rather than there's the detox pathways, all this, and then it sparked me. I thought, why am I an alcoholic? And then why do I feel hangovers so ferociously that I'm like, oh my God, when's my next drink to pep me up? There's just so many predispositions that I carry that it's a perfect storm.
Yeah,
you know?
right, and it all makes sense.
And the joy of like me hitting rock bottom just at my 20s means that because I've got such a crap detox system and I felt so shit that I hit my rock bottom really ferociously and I got better faster, you know. So I'm like, then you can, I mean, I won't go into details about DNA because it gets really wordy, but there are so many aha moments when you look into your genetics and you think, that's why it's, you know, that's inherited, and then you can deal with it.
What sort of genetic testing? Like, I mean, I'd be quite curious to do it, or what sort of...
Okay, so there's one, which I recommend for women called LifeCode GX. I don't know if it's available down here. I'm assuming it's international. LifeCode GX, it will show you about your estrogen metabolism, because that's really important, particularly when you're looking at cancer predisposition, you know, and how you detox, all sorts, how you convert food into vitamins. There's all different enzymatic processes, and it's really helpful to get oversight.
And that tells you the methylation stuff
Yeah,
as well?
yeah,
I need to get my head around that.
Yeah, for sure. But you need a practitioner to help you. So like LifeCode GX is really handy, and they can probably put you in the right direction. And you know, it's one test. You don't need to do it again, because that's your DNA.
Yeah, and that's the future.
And it'll just give you a bit of oversight and a bit of you know, so when you're looking at multivitamins, make sure everything's methylated. So make sure you've got methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin when you're looking at B12. Methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. So that's really interesting. Always ask your pharmacy for methylated B vitamins, because I mean, 40% of the population are fine with it. About 40% of the population are not fine with it.
NTHFR gene?
Yeah, the motherfucker gene.
Yeah, the motherfucker gene. I think I've got that too.
Yeah,
I've never been tested, but just from...
I bet you do. You please test yourself and then go, because I bet you do.
I do, yeah.
Also, because there's a pattern. You just go, aha. So so make sure. Yeah, that's my first one. Just look at methylcobalamin and not from cyanide, cyanocobalamin. And that's your B12.
Okay. So
and I think it's about 60% of the population are okay with the cheaper cyanide-based B12 because they've not got the motherfucker gene. But there's 40% of us who just makes us feel worse.
Yeah, right.
So you think you're doing well, taking all these multivitamins, but I mean, there's a lot of naysayers and doctors go, no, it's fine, but trust me, I can feel the difference. And you know, if I'm N of one, I'm N of one. It's my story. Take what you want, leave the rest. You know.
100%. You've got 4 boys. How did having that change everything for you?
Perpetual mum guilt.
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, I need to do more. I need to do everything. I think, and particularly because living in the age we are, you know, you look on Instagram and like the kids are doing these activities, that activity, violin, Latin, bloody skiing, and you just say, God, I've just shoved my kid on a swing because I just need a bit of time, you know. So I'm in perpetual mum guilt. I'm always terrified. So I think we need to be a bit real about it. World Book Day, I miss every freaking year. Like God,
I hate that book day.
I've been doing it like my eldest is 17. Can you imagine?
And the Easter hat parade that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Why do we have to make stupid hats?
You do it for me. I'm trying to run a business. And I'm rubbish at class. I mean, what I do on World Book Day, we've got my boys support Manchester United, and one of the players wrote a load of books. So I just go, just put your kit on.
Perfect.
Just go in as Rashford. Done. And so that, I mean, I used to dress them up, but now I'm like, oh, God, I mean, it's been like a decade.
Yeah, when
sometimes multiple outfits. I'm like,
yeah, just pass them on. That's a good thing about it.
Oh, as if I'm going to store it, like, get it out. I don't want to see it. I'm not storing it. My house is so small, I can't store anything. You know? So yeah, the pressure is there to be this like absolute tiger mom. Yeah. And I'm not, you know. And even after lockdown, I'm thinking, you know, school's great and everything, but you're like, God, we put a lot of pressure on the exams. And when you see things like ChatGPT coming on, I'm like, what is the world going to look like like when my 9-year-old in 10 years time, what's his university experience going to be 100%. Like? I'm like, this is crazy what's going on.
Right. I don't
know.
It blows my mind.
I don't know, but I tell you what, I mean, I was going to say you always need a creative, but then you look at AI and they could just like copy me and you like that.
Amazing, I know.
It's like even actors are going to be out of work. You know, that was always considered the arts.
That's right. You can't find a single industry that's going to be
No, even doctors, surgeons, they've got robots, even like prescription writing, even that goes through AI. And you're like, wow. I think the only thing you can't do is like, I'm looking at the surfers. There's a big professional surfer. Or for, you know, it's just the sports, isn't it?
Yeah, unless there are robots doing that too.
Well, I'd like to see a robot not sink out there. But yeah, I mean, that really changed my view, that lockdown thing, because that was awful.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Can you imagine?
Oh, for you, four boys.
I mean, I can't even,
what ages were they then?
Let's see. So Jude would have been 5. So we're trying to do preschool stuff. And then another one is like, he's 14, so ramping up for the first exams. And I'm like, and then I thought, obviously, I'm going to
just take your kids to bushwalks and bake banana bread. And
banana bread, yeah. I hate baking. But then obviously to add another layer to the madness, I got 2 dogs.
Oh, wow.
I mean, maniac dogs.
Were you on a property, like you had space?
Yeah, so we were in London in a tiny house. And then, I mean, that was major lockdown. But what I thought was when my mum died, she had like a property in Spain that she bought. It was like a wreck, and she'd done it up and everything. And I just thought, I've seen too many of these disaster movies that said, let's fly down. And we did a whole refurbishment on it because Matt's a builder.
Amazing.
So we were fortunate there. But the second lockdown, because he said, we're not going back to London. It's too small. It's too cramped. You know, we can't afford what we want there. I mean, the rent is astronomical. Even to drive into London costs you a fortune. Yeah. The fines, everything. So I said, right, we're going out of London. And we moved up north, and it was the winter, and it rained every day in this tiny house with the kids with this effing lockdown.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's like, oh yeah, go outside. There's just going to be more mud inside. Oh, it was.
God, and the dogs.
Bruised. And the dogs kept escaping. I'm like, I was going to get done. I mean, it was mayhem. It was horrific. The mud, the dirt, the cold, no daylight. It was. And then
you do so well up there. Like, it must be. It's like
freezing.
Yeah, and you're always out running.
Well, you have to. I have to get outside. I need the light. Give me what?
But you've got lights as well that you do, don't you?
Yeah. But an infrared zip-up sauna. LEDs. Yeah, all that, because I really need the light. I am, you know, we respond to light. The fact that we are locked away all the time, and we go from house to car to office, back to car, and we don't have, I mean, it's totally different down here. And you see it on people. They look insanely beautiful and grounded, whereas the hustle and bustle of where I'm from and the avoidance of any sort of like light is phenomenal, and you can see it on people's faces. They are like just surviving.
Well, your message is really strong. I mean, your books, I love your books.
Oh, thank you.
I was reading them over the weekend again, and like lots of little, it's very actionable stuff, and you make it very simple. You don't go into too much of the science, but just from what you've learned on yourself as well. Like you say, it's sort of your own test case, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying that. So with your biohacking, what were some of the first things that changed symptoms-wise when you started biohacking and doing some of the things you've learned?
Okay, so the lights went on. That was a combination of cold, awful cold shower, horrific, still awful, horrible, hate cold. Just to reaffirm that.
Me too. So you don't do ice baths?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but I hate it. Do it. Yeah.
But that's the point.
Yes.
You've got to get those hormones up. You've got to get the adrenaline, and then you've got to get the self-esteem that you've done something you don't want to do.
Yes.
And that is really
It's
important.
challenging yourself.
Yeah, and by the way, you don't have to do it every day. You flip a coin, because if you did it every day, your body would become tolerant to it. And it's the guessing that gives you the dopamine hit. So you don't know if you're going to go in it tonight or if you're going to go in it tomorrow morning. So yeah, flip a coin, heads you go in, tails you don't.
Wow.
And otherwise, if you do it like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the body knows you've got a rhythm. So you keep the body guessing.
No. Okay, so the first things you did.
And what saved my life is NCT oil, the molecule. So it gets a bit wordy, but bear with me. There is, in fact, I've got a bottle here.
Yeah, just let me
just show you. Not product placement, because you can buy a goodie anywhere, this oil. However, ours is C8. Right, MCT oil stands for medium chain triglyceride. So it's very small amount of carbon atoms that make this fatty acid, which uniquely, as soon as you consume it, and you can have it off the spoon, it tastes like warm water, nothing. It's from a coconut. It doesn't taste of coconut. As soon as you consume that, it gets into the lymphatic system. It bypasses the digestive system and it hits the liver. Now, the liver has a little enzymatic process and it converts the fat into a ketone.
Yes.
Right, so a ketone is an energy fuel. Yeah, it's a fuel which is totally different to glucose, right?
Yes.
So what this does is once it's in the liver, it gets into the bloodstream and hits the brain in about 15 minutes. And it gives the brain a different fuel source to glucose. Bearing in mind, years ago, my brain was so overfed with glucose from carbohydrates, cereal, bread, biscuits, granola, the usual, oats, overnight oats, always on glucose. I mean, since being little, this was a new energy source that came into my brain and the lights went on. And all of a sudden, the food noise went down and I started feeling more creative, which I hadn't done. So I didn't want to go and run a marathon. Don't get me wrong. I just thought a little bit of optimism.
Is it true that you need to be in ketosis or like
And the ketogenic diet? No, you don't.
to really reap the benefits of
No,
ketones?
no. No, you can. I mean, in fact, if I have a very carby meal, I will have a teaspoon of MCT just to keep the body. You want metabolic flexibility. It's not about an extreme diet. I mean, unless you have epilepsy, that's where the ketogenic diet was first discovered. So it shows how strong it works on the brain.
Yeah.
But before we brought epilepsy medication in, that's how they treated children with epilepsy. Yes. So it's been around since the 1920s. It's ferociously effective on the brain. There are studies in Oxford University looking at bipolar disorder, depression, ADHD, and they're going to put kids and families on a ketogenic diet to try and pull them out of this awful mental health crisis.
Right.
It's a metabolic, for me, it could be considered a metabolic disease. The brain is not functioning properly. So this new energy source is fantastic. Quick note of caution, when I first started this, it wasn't R1. I'm always look for C8, 8 carbon atoms, not 10 to 12. You want C8. It's smaller, it's more brain activating. That's just a note. So because when you have this too much, you get a sore tummy, didn't you?
I said I started doing this on the weekend. I felt a bit sick. So you said to start with that.
Because of course I did it. I ended up getting disaster pants.
What?
Because remember, fat is a laxative.
What's disaster pants?
Well, fat is a laxative.
Yeah, right.
It's not fiber. Fiber's not the laxative. Well, I just felt, oh my God, I need to go to the loo.
Yeah.
So remember that fat's a laxative. Remember, like when you know that when you're feeding a baby because it's predominantly fat in there, and they put their food, so they don't have any fiber in breast milk. So Okay. So what I did was I developed it into like a powder. So this has got grass-fed butter in it, and this in powder format with a tiny amount of ketogenic fiber. It will just slow the process while you become more fat adapted.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll be fat adapted, and the brain will go, oh, I like this, I remember. The gut's not going to react because I remember this. Because throughout history, we've always slipped in and out of ketosis in times of not necessarily starvation, but we didn't constantly eat every 6 hours or every 4 hours or every 2 hours like we are. We used to wake up in ketosis, go hunting, much sharper in ketosis than you are when you, like I said before, the glucose, the carb coma. Disaster if you want to go hunting a bloody wildebeest or whatever we're doing, So That's why I'm in ketosis throughout the day, and at night I have the carbs.
So what's your routine, like eating routine? You've got your fatty coffee.
Yeah.
No, you start with lemon water.
Right now, electrolytes really, because I
did start with your electrolytes.
Eggs and electrolytes. Our electrolytes are different because it won't spike your blood sugar.
I was going to say, can you still fast?
Yes, there you are. You're in a fasted state. So I do a fat fast. I don't do a religious fast.
So you're just not having any.
Yeah, so I have any fats or proteins. So I have fat. I have only fat.
You're only fat.
Only fat or nootropics. Only thing that's going to affect my brain. So my proteins, I wait, because proteins will convert into glucose. The body's clever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so to stay in a fat fasted state, you only have fat as a fuel or something that's going to react with the grain. Right. I don't want to kick off the digestive system.
So what do you do for how long? So you
so probably, by the way, I've been at this for years now.
She's a
advanced biohacker. Yeah, so it sounds really bizarre.
Yes.
You do what? But
no,
you can start, and I'm not underweight either. So the amount of food I have seems very small. I'm kind of like one meal a day, and that's at night with the family.
Yeah.
Throughout the day, I have little bits of things that stimulate my brain, provide my body with amino acids, and it keeps me satisfied, but full of vitality. So I can still do the gym, I can still run, I can still run the company, I can still get the kids from school, I can still do the shopping without going, I might nick to Starbucks and get a brownie and a coffee.
You can't have the protein powder, can you?
No, I have that later. Or unless I am, you can do it. It will take you out of a fasted state, but you will still be in ketosis.
Because that's what I did this morning. I was like, I don't know what to have, but I was getting confused.
Sure.
I was like, I'm trying to do your thing so I can really experience and know what it feels like. So I had that. I did the electrolytes yesterday morning, but I wasn't sure what to eat or what else to have for the rest of the day.
When I first started, let's do it from a very, very basic. So don't freak out too much about hitting autophagy. Autophagy is what happens when you are in a fasted state. So you can do it while you've got fat in your diet. So autophagy is a brilliant mechanism that the body uses. When you're not digesting, it starts cleaning out cancerous cells, repairing them, getting rid. It's autophagy, autophagy. It's automatically eating or repairing. So that's really important state to get into. So I'm trying to do that every day to get rid of nasty cells. And I do that by just having fat in my diet for as long as I can. Now, remember, you get up in the morning, you've already had hopefully 6 to 8 hours sleep, fasting. Get up in the morning. The best thing you can do is give yourself a little bit of electricity to switch your brain on. That's electrolytes, hydration, fabulous. Now, if you don't want to use my products, that's fine, but be very careful for things like sucralose in there or anything, maltodextrin, get it out. Yeah. Get it out, because that's
sugar, right?
It is sugar, and it also will cause bloating. It's not a nice sweetener. The only sweetener I adhere to is stevia, stevia leaf. Yeah. It won't have any impact on your blood sugar or your insulin. It's great. Yeah, it's great. Me too, because I've still got that 1980s palate. Yes. So I have the electrolytes in the morning. Then I have a kettle's on. Then I have my coffee, and I have a big tablespoon of the keto powder. It tastes like a cappuccino. I'll probably have that. I mean, if you put the powder in first, then the coffee on top, it mixes up super easy. You don't need the whiz up.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's just all little hacks. You know, you do it your way. But I have about 3 coffees. Obviously, being ADHD, the thing with me is I'm seeking dopamine. Yeah. Caffeine doesn't raise dopamine; it opens dopamine receptors, so you experience it more. So when I go outside and I see daylight, and I put on music that I like, boom, dopamine goes up. I experience it more because the caffeine's opened up that receptor.
Dance party. Woo.
Exactly. And I'm out the door. Obviously, bearing in mind, I've got the kids to school. I've had to get the kids. I've had to cook them breakfast. They have our protein shake. You know, I mean, I go into detail about it every day, all day on the Willpowders website. But for me, it's about getting that fuel in my brain so I'm not distracted by snacks. Now then, snacks during the day for me would be scrambled eggs, hard-boiled eggs, salad, avocado, and toast. But trust me, it is doable.
I find that so hard.
It is doable.
Crunch. What do you do about crunch?
Bacon.
Of course.
Bacon. Lovely bacon.
Like bacon. I'm scared of it being a processed meat.
Okay, no. No.
Sausages?
No. Just be careful.
Nitrate free.
You know what? Then just look at the farm. Look at the farm. We've been having bacon, meat, pigs for a millennia, and all of a sudden cancer's on the rise now. I don't think so. I think there's another plague. No, just make sure you know who the farmer is. That they've all been eating a natural diet. They've not been having weird.
That's hard.
Well, just Google it. We'll get it delivered.
Yeah.
don't get in the way of yourself
Yeah.
by making excuses, because once you get into a rhythm, it's easy peasy.
Yeah.
It's the first couple of steps, but you know, just remember, this is your brain and your mental health that you're trying to optimize, and don't listen to the bullshit that we've been told. That
hang on,
that
protein. You said to not use protein.
So I've got a protein powder that's made from bone broth. Now, no one can argue that bone broth isn't good for you, because every civilization on the planet has evolved with bone broth, from the Aztecs to the Vikings. I've gone to Scandinavia. The Vikings are the nearest to us, and they have an amazing method to get bone broth into a powder. So what we do is we have beef, grass-fed beef over in Scandinavia, and we boil the bones 36 hours, and we dehydrate it, and then we flavor it with stevia and vanilla.
Yes.
And basically, it's like, think of it as oxtail soup, but tastes like Mr. Whippy. So the kids love it as well.
It's really yummy.
Chuck in some full fat milk for that. If you want to stay in ketosis, use it with water. It will still taste creamy.
Okay, so you stay in ketosis, use it with water.
Yeah, but
The autophagy?
the autophagy probably, no, the autophagy will stop because you've got that full protein.
The protein.
But protein isn't the enemy. We need it. We need much more than you anticipate.
But you managed to go right through
Right
the
day to day, yeah.
protein.
Yeah. So maybe about 4 o'clock. And then I'll have like a smoothie, or I'll have a bowl of brown broth, and I'll put our keto powder in it. And then I'm going to think about dinner, which will probably be a big piece of meat, veg, some bread, that sort of thing with the kids.
And so with the fasting, there's so many benefits to it, aren't there?
Yeah.
In terms of disease prevention.
It's inflammation. It just seems to lower it. You know, I mean, the body naturally fasts when it puts you, when you're ill and you don't want any food, the body's naturally saying, okay, stop triggering the digestive system, let's heal. You know, there's so many religions that do it as well for benefit.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's been studied for so long, but now it's only just come to light. And he said, oh, it's not good for you to fast. I'm like, well, come on. I mean, look at the evidence.
So if you do this one big meal a day, how does that change physically, how you feel emotionally, mentally? Like what?
Throughout the day, I'm completely energized. I'm optimistic. I'm full of beans. I'm full of confidence. And at night, boom, I am slower, calmer, relaxed, cozy, sleepy, all the good stuff, family orientated, cuddling with the dogs. Whereas in the day, I'm full of energy.
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
So this is how you hack your ADHD.
Yeah.
What else do you do? Because we were talking about this, because I asked Sigourney on medication for ADHD.
No.
You tried it. It didn't work.
It made me feel a little bit, the EBGBs. I felt very distant, and I didn't feel creative at all. I felt I kind of shut down. I had to, it didn't work for me. Some people it's great, it lights them up, but for me it tips me over. Yeah. Almost like if I have too much coffee, I'll tip over into despondence.
Yeah.
That's how it happened to me.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling a little bit too ramped up, I will have L-theanine, which is
you've got
that's
what you gave me before.
Yeah, what it does, it works really well with caffeine actually. So I often, if I've taken too much caffeine, or I've been in Starbucks where the coffee can be moldy and it can ramp up the anxiety, I'll take 2 of those and it'll take the edge off.
How do you know if your coffee's moldy?
Well, we're talking big multinational companies here. They've not got like a tiny little sort of barista sort of setup. We're talking like storage of beans all over the globe, being transported in mega ships. Okay. Just think about it. Yeah. And if you do feel a bit edgy, it might not be your situation. It just might be the coffee that's tipped you over.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always handy to have those in your bag. I often get a bit overwhelmed. ADHD kicks in when you start getting short-tempered.
Yes.
In the airport.
Yes.
The airport's on for me. So I always have like 3 or 4 before I go in. It doesn't make you drowsy.
On this.
No, it doesn't make you drowsy. It just takes the edge off, the list making, the overwhelm.
Oh yeah, I get that big time. That's when I reach my ADHD meds.
Okay, brilliant.
And then I'm like,
okay, it's 11, you're out.
Yeah,
it's incredible how some people are up and some people are down. I mean, this is like the one size fits all approach. It doesn't work.
No.
I mean, you try stuff and just see what it is, and if it doesn't work for you, at least you've tried, and at least you understand how you get closer to the answers about who you are as a person. Yeah. And it goes all the way back to DNA again.
Get your testing done.
Yeah, and even epigenetics and what trauma you have or haven't been through, and what was your diet as a baby, or I mean, it's never-ending journey of like, wow, that's interesting.
The wellness world can be so overwhelming. There's so much misinformation. How do you sort the wheat from the chaff? How do you know what to?
Well, I kind of always go, okay, so how would that have benefited our ancestors? Because clearly we've come to a point in time where we are apex predators on the planet. We are. So what did we do to get here? And I think that's a good sort of like barometer for me. Yeah, you know, I don't see how that would have benefited ancient man or whatever.
Makes no sense. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So paleo, so lots of meat.
Yeah.
No, barely any grains.
No. I mean, from an addictive point of view, I don't really have a pause button on that. That's why I kind of swerve them. If I have like overnight oats in the morning, you can guarantee I'm having a Chinese takeaway that night.
Really?
Yeah.
You know it that well. And what about dairy?
Oh yeah, I love dairy. I have a lot of butter. Butter's great for healing the gut. Absolutely.
So you don't have to go lactose free?
Absolutely not. No, not at all. No, I think dairy is fantastic. I mean, I'm obviously from Northern Europe. My heritage is that we've had dairy in our diet for.
So do you cook with butter?
Of course, well, I mean, that I've got butter in it.
Oh,
This is butter because it's got Beauticate in it, which
butter,
will basically, you know, when you're looking at the gut microbiome and specifics, what all the pre and probiotics that you're taking, all the vegetables and everything, what they produce is butyric acid, which is what butter's made of.
Right.
So, you know,
straight
to the source. And, you know, and obviously bovine collagen, ours is Swiss. Again, the Swiss are brilliant with the air quality, the grass quality. There's no glyphosate. You got to know your food chain.
Yeah.
You got to know who's duping you. I would not touch marine collagen ever. The microplastics, the pollution, the sewage in the sea. It's not wild. No one can actually say something's wild. I mean, not that on those volumes, and it stinks. So it needs to be flavored. I wouldn't touch marine collagen. It's a murky world. And there's no such thing as vegan collagen. There's a big company out there doing a big push. And if you look into their data, they've tested it on 22-year-olds or something like that in-house. I'm like, oh, shut up. There's no such thing as vegan collagen. There's no such thing. You know, get regenerative farming. Start looking at regenerative, rehabilitating the soil. That's what this planet needs. We need soil and nitrogen in the soil. We do not need some weird soy plant being grown up, mass grown in China. And well, it's fields of it in China, and like the glyphosate is all over it. And you're like, this is not a health food. It's not healthy for the planet. It's not healthy for my brain. I don't need pseudo foods. You know, give me the basics.
What are the questions to ask a butcher, or, you know, like how do you research and find the purest quality meat and dairy? And
so what was the animal fed? Was it outside? That's all you need to know. Is it grass fed? Or if they've got any additives in it, which they won't do if it's grass fed, if it's pasture raised. Yeah. That's all you need to know. Is it in a small farm? Yeah. I mean, the farms that we use in Switzerland, they've got like 15 cows. I mean, we're not talking these mega farms in South America where they shove corn down them. They got.
That's fine if it's frozen and it's coming
from.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, just get it local. I mean, I do the due diligence at Willpowders. I visit the farms. I go there. I shake hands with the farmers. You know what I mean? They raise these cows for like 10, 15 years. It's not like the industry in South America where you got a cow that's like 6 months old going to slaughter. It's not like that. So just understand that, you know, I have these principles and I'll stick by them. And again, it's about the soil quality, if you may, because that's the food.
So you're an only organic person?
Well, weirdly about organic. So you've got to be careful where you pick and choose organic, because farmers by nature don't like admin. So you can waste a ton of cash buying organic when you could have used a local farmer who has the same principles. But first of all, it costs a fortune to register organic.
Oh, yeah.
And also, he doesn't want to do it. It's like, imagine, it's like doing a flipping massive big tax bill every month or something. Yeah. It's really sort of, and unless you're a massive farm, which ideally we don't want, we want small. Yeah, exactly. That's so you just have to ask your butcher, you know, where's it come from? I mean, we've got them on the internet. Just have a Google. Say, have a look at the farm. Do you like the look of it? Great, support them. Yeah.
You talk about how do you toolkit supplements for cravings, hormones. What are the 5 essentials that you think every woman can benefit from? How would you?
Okay, so I think what's really important is your air quality. Very careful about perfume, about those plug-ins. So at Willpowders, I developed a candle that is non-soy, non-petroleum. It's coconut-based, so you can use it as a moisturizer with only essential oils without.
What is it? Do you have it here?
Yeah, I've got it while you're knocking around. I'll find it for you and take a picture.
Okay.
But I'm trying to get them down here. But the thing is, because it's coconut, it's got a melting point. So I'm like, what am I going to do about shipping it over? But maybe I'll get it manufactured down here. However, you really need to be aware of what you put on your skin, what you spray, and what you breathe in. What you're breathing in, what your pets are breathing in, what your children are breathing in. Remember, the lungs are the same size as the tennis court. That's why they are so absorbent for these perfumes. They're endocrine disruptors. They disrupt the hormone
So you don't
system.
use any perfume?
No, only
essential oils?
Yeah, only this candle, and I don't use lavender.
I don't use it anymore either.
No.
Sometimes I'll spray it on my clothes or something.
Or maybe like if I'm going into a black tie do, which I never do, maybe in my hair, but
then you're
wash
still
it.
breathing it in.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, why am I
Just
doing this? Just to try and, I don't know, it's like, oh, breach your like sting the Chanel No. 5, like Anne did in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that is like really interesting for hormone health.
Wow.
Obviously deodorant.
So none of those ambipur kind of
no,
things.
I mean, and I think, oh my God.
What about those diffuser things? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
but
the sticks, the
but
reeds.
check if they are essential oils or if they are synthetic. Probably synthetic. And I don't like soy. I don't like the soy industry anyway, but I don't like the soot it emits.
So tofu.
No, I'm talking about the candles.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't like petroleum based, of course, paraffin, wax. Who wants that blasting through the house for babies to smell?
So candles are, generally.
So just look for coconut based or beeswax candles.
Yeah.
And then of course you can drop a bit of your own favorite essential oil in it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a bit controversial, but lavender seems to be an endocrine disruptor. It boosts,
Great.
It shoves up toxic estrogen. So man boobs, cellulite, PMT, all that gnarliness.
Oh,
Yeah.
lavender.
Yeah,
That
right.
sucks.
But maybe the actual lavender, the
Oh, the
plant.
actual
But I'm
plant.
just thinking that there is a lot of research. I mean, it's been debunked and it's not been debunked. But do you know what? I'm not going to go wrecking my hormones just in case. So I've like lemongrass is so much nicer anyway, or something like that. You know.
Okay, so
that's
air
like
quality.
air quality, and what you put on your body. You know,
Yes.
coconut's great.
Yeah.
Coconut is fabulous, and you can obviously, I mean, in beef tallow, which people go, oh my God, you joking? But to be honest, that's where I'm leaning to now. I mean, I dip here now. Sometimes I get some wacky cream and I think, oh, wait, got a new peptide, but I always end up going back to Mother Nature. From a cost point of view, it's
What
super
cosmetics
cheap.
do you use?
I'm a bit shit with them. I don't really wear makeup unless I'm doing something like this. So
Do you
they
have a
are.
natural makeup brand you like?
No, because they are all bad. So I'm like, I'll sack it. I might as well just get the cheapest one.
Yeah.
You know, I've not found a clean makeup brand. It's really hard to produce. And so I think there's one called Inca, but you know what? I'm like, I have it on for like 2 hours, maybe once a week, and then I just get it off. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, forget it. But I mean, I reckon that's a massive space in the industry that will come through.
Yeah.
You know, all of them. I mean, we're talking so expensive for like brusher and bronzer. I mean, it costs nothing to make. And they, you know, it's really
all the shit that happened.
yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of shit in it, and, you know, but it is what it is. We moved on, and, you know.
So what would the fire supplements be if you had a toolkit?
Well, L-theanine,
Of
without
course.
question.
Yeah.
Great for too much coffee. Great for a worrying
Just to
mind.
calm you.
Great, take the edge off.
Yeah.
Does not make you drowsy. You can still drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, MCT
Yeah.
or any ketone that there's some great. Really, in the USA, they're taking the ketone industry by storm. In Australia and the UK, we're about 5 years behind the US.
You don't hear much about it.
Well, we will do because I think that is going to really help a lot of people with that flat line.
Yes.
So ketones. Obviously, I mean, I think the best supplement in the world is beef, red meat.
As a supplement, I like
Absolutely.
the
But
source.
if you can't have it, I really rate the little capsules when you've got beef liver, desiccated beef liver in capsules, so you can just chuck them down your neck.
Do you take that?
Yeah, I will do, but I do actually eat beef liver. You only need about that big.
Wow.
And then you've got all the B12, and it's all methylated.
Oh,
So that's
yeah,
nature's super supplement.
Yeah.
So if you can put that in the kids' bolognese.
How many days a week do you eat a steak, for example?
Oh God,
Red meat.
probably about. I eat red meat every day.
Every day.
Yeah, because obviously I'm having the bone broth as well. This
Right.
comes from beef, or I'm having the beef collagen. I mean, I'm always getting the nutrients from. Well, yeah, beef, but it's not even the expensive bits.
Yeah.
The most nutrient dense bits are the fattier cuts. So as long as you've got a grass
But they have
fed,
to be organic. Or
no,
grass-fed.
go grass fed.
Grass-fed.
It's not, honestly, but it's cheaper to have the fattier cuts. So like, you don't have to have a fillet steak, have a rump, or have something that the sirloin, it's got more fat in it, and boom, you're going to make a cost. And by the way, you will not snack as much because you're hitting your nutritional profile, so you're not going to keep. It works out more cost effective, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Obviously, butter being another supplement that I constantly have. It's a superfood, you know, it is a superfood.
Yeah.
I sell a supplement called Spice.
I guess collagen.
well, of course, collagen 101, that goes in every single drink. But spice is really interesting that I sell. It's you know about turmeric, yeah?
Yeah.
Turmeric is, so curcumin comes from the turmeric plant, and that's the active ingredient. So if you're inflamed, and remember, an inflamed brain is a depressed brain. So reducing inflammation by taking curcumin is really proactive, and it's great for joints, muscle pain, and you know, I think it's nice a bit of Ayurveda as well, you know, and you can make it into a really nice, because I've got capsules, you can open them into some warm water, put some of the keto powder in it, some of this, and you've got golden milk, golden latte. Absolutely lovely. So all these, I'm trying to not like pop pills. And more apart from these guys, which you can open up, and you can put that in your coffee actually for faster bioavailability.
Really? Oh, it won't. The heat won't destroy it.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. Right. Do not worry about that. So yeah, I mean, but for me, I think I'm drinking bone broth. That's another superfood to heal the gut. You know, we've all got leaky gut. If we're bloody raised in the 80s, you got leaky gut. So it's about getting that nutrition, and of course gelatin.
Yes.
Know.
Oh yeah. So ask you for your fastest way to heal the gut. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So gelatin's really good. Obviously, bovine collagen.
Is there a brand of gelatin you like?
Well, I found a couple down here, but just Google grass-fed gelatin, and you'll get a load of this, and it'll last months. And all you have to do is heat it up. So you get a tablespoon of it, and then 3 tablespoons of warm water, dissolve it, and then add whatever liquid. And within like an hour, it's turned into a jelly. So I mix the electrolytes, I mix my protein into it, and you've got something, you know, chewy.
Something that gives you some substance. Yeah. And you'll have that as a snack during the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. And what about broth? Do you like bone broth?
I hate cooking it. It takes ages. Yeah. And the amount of times I've done it, like a 36-hour bloody simmer, and then I've gone, right, very good. And then I've tipped it down the sink, and I've just been left with the bones, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna.
Or my classic is leaving it out of fridge and then not refrigerating it, and it just gets ruined overnight.
It's disgusting. I'm like, why? So yeah, that's why I developed our bone broth in powder form, and I'm bringing out savoury as well.
Oh, good. But you can actually have a little pot.
Yeah, do extra soup.
Yeah, I'd like that.
You know, so I'm like, it's one of nature's like non-negotiables. Let's just make it bloody easy, because the prattling around, we don't sit around campfires anymore, because that bone broth would have been constantly being tended to. We don't do that anymore because we're whizzing around. So that's why I'm trying to make Willpowders, ancient nutrition but super convenient, that is slightly for my palate, because I've got a high street palate. I'm sorry, I'm not that sophisticated.
I'm excited about the kombucha. Can you show me those?
Oh yeah. Okay.
So they're like a little party drink.
A little party drink
when you want to go out and you don't want to drink alcohol.
Exactly, you don't want to drink caffeine. So it's got a little bit of guarana in it. So it's got a little lift to it. But it's absolutely beautiful. I went to the
What do the Chinese symbols mean?
Oh, it says kombucha.
Oh, cool.
So this is it in little sticks. There you go.
I love it.
And you just add it to water, and it naturally fizzes a little bit, because in nature, when vitamin B12 is made available after fermentation, you get a fizz. So that's why people love Coca-Cola and stuff, because that fizz, the body goes, ooh, B12, let's have more.
Is that right?
Yeah, so psychologically, evolutionary, we've always liked to fizz. So that's why fermented food contain great vitamins and minerals. And so yeah, I went to the Ashelan mountains in Taiwan, and I met the guys. It's all hand-picked and everything. Really, really traditional place. And I don't think anyone else has bothered to do that with the kombucha industry. Gone to check the tea leaves, made sure that they're doing regenerative farming, because they recycle the old SCOBY, which is the mother, and they put that back on the land to grow the next set of leaves.
Oh, right.
That's regenerative as a fertilizer.
How cool. They're so freaky, those things.
I love them.
I used to make my own kombucha.
Oh, did you?
So I had all these SCOBYs in my fridge, and people would be like, oh, it's a science experiment.
Again, it's like, it's time, it's the bone broth. So that's why I'm putting it in here. And also, you know, when you go to a restaurant, everyone's drinking a glass of wine. I don't want to look like that, you know, I just have another water. So I get a fizzy water, and I pop this in, and it looks like a glass of champagne or something. And you just
what are the
sit
flavors?
there. So this is like, it's more of an emotive, you know, like how you have a wine and it's like a sort of dry or a light. So, yeah, kind of, but they are. This was the sweeter one. This is a lighter one. It's sweeter, and then you've got a fresh one, which is a bit more green tea.
Yeah.
And the warm one, definitely you can taste the ginger.
Oh, great!
So
it's so exciting.
Yeah, but I mean, these will be available pretty soon. I just wanted a grown-up drink, really. But to be honest, you say you can't give it to kids, but if your kid's been on antibiotics, I give them some of that. Well, consult your doctor.
Now you seem to have all your hacks sorted.
Yeah.
Do you ever have those days where everything feels like it's falling apart, and what do you do on those days?
Yeah, so just recently, I didn't feel like I was falling apart, but I had a bit of a crisis in the UK. That's why I got really cold sores, because I felt like I've been unfairly treated.
Yes.
So I've been totally triggered. And I still didn't drink. I still didn't overeat. I did kick off on Matthew. I did kick off on The Office.
So that still happens.
So I got it out, but I ran. I put house music on. I got in the sunshine. I got in the sea. I lay down. I've got like these towels that they're copper infused, Willpowders towels. They've got a copper infusion, which thus mean when you sit on the beach or on the grass, copper being the most conductive element, you are connected with the ground. So obviously time is always the issue. So I lay on that and I brought my inflammation, gnarliness right down. I overate our protein, just so I felt
sated.
Yes, exactly. And then the best thing I do was run.
What if you don't like running? I watch you all the time. I do run a little bit, but it hurts my body.
Okay.
What do you like? What can you do if you don't like?
Well, what do you like doing? What works for you? There you go. I hate dancing. I've got 2 left feet. You stick to that.
Yeah.
That's your thing. I mean, remember, we are a tribe. We can't all be the same. What rolls for me doesn't roll for you. Vice versa. I absolutely hate dancing unless I'm on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm like dancing.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about just dancing to whatever while I do my workout. Like I do weights and I know how to dance.
Well, there you go. That's your vibe. Do that. Whatever it does that gets your heart rate up, that'll help your lymphatic system.
Yes, anything that gets
exactly. I mean, you could even do something like rebounding and just bouncing up and down.
Yeah,
I mean, 90 times a week, because obviously I have 4 kids.
Yes.
But,
do you have a rebounder?
Yeah, but it's up against the wall, just taking up valuable space.
Like most of those useless things that we
Exactly. But remember, you've always got a hot bath and a cold shower.
Yes.
Sit in a hot bath full of Epsom salts. Remember, magnesium citrate is for the bath, not your mouth, because it will go to the toilet. It's a laxative. So always look for magnesium.
It's different to Epsom salts. Maybe.
Thing.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
It's just
Because my kinesiologist said stop with the Epsom salts and use magnesium citrate instead.
But magnesium was discovered in the town of Epsom.
I just was like, oh God, stop buying it.
Oh,
so
God bless you.
Yeah.
Just look at the ingredients in Epsom salts.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's great, but you want to absorb that transdermally because you don't want it to upset your tummy because it can give you the runs. Unless you're constipated, magnesium citrate is great. But no, you've got really good magnesiums. There's quite a few of them. Magnesium L-threonate is really good for the brain.
Okay. So you're a big fan of magnesium?
Massive fan, but just be careful which ones, So magnesium threonate is great for the brain. Magnesium biglycinate chills you out. Magnesium citrate for the body, and it'll do everything. So
just drench in it.
Just drench in it, and then cold shower afterwards. So if you can do 40 minutes in a hot bath so you can feel your colds, it's almost mimicking a sauna. And then cold shower, and then just get your parasympathetic nervous system kicked in. You're calming, soothing, all as well with the world hormones.
And that's what helps you out.
That's what I've been doing. I've been hot cold therapy running. And then I got a solution, and now I put action in, and I feel better. And my cold sores will be gone soon. Yeah. What I should have done with the cold sores, while I'm on about it, is
tell us.
L-lysine.
What's that?
It's an amino acid. I should have taken that.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't because I was too occupied. I could have just run up the street and got some, but I was too busy kicking off. So
that's a good one to
lysine and monologue, L-lysine and monologue would have stopped it. It's a virus that lives in the bottom of the spine. So when you get stressed, it flares up. So there you go. Sometimes I take my own advice.
Yeah, well, now you know. We agree now. And my final question is always our sacred 6 essentials. Do you have any idea in your head what your 6 things would be? So there are 6 products, practices, protocols that basically make you a better person, make you a happy person, make you feel more beautiful inside and out.
Okay, so sleep, absolutely. Magnesium biglycinate, and if I'm traveling, melatonin, microdose. Because if I don't get sleep, just so like maybe 1 milligram. So that's just a bit of melatonin. It's a very good antioxidant for the brain. UK, you've got to get it on prescription. I think you can get it at a pharmacy here. In Spain, you can get it in the supermarket. So no wonder they're so chilled out.
Yeah.
Another great thing is, speaking of Spain, horsetail tea. Great for water retention. absolutely brilliant. I've got it in my electrolyte. Horsetail tea. It just tastes a bit
And you
like.
buy it in Spain.
You can buy it in Spain, but I've put it in my electrolytes so you can flush out water retention. So if anyone's on a glass of wine, they got a puffy face, or you've got those ankles, or you've been flying, that is great. Horsetail tea is amazing for that. Another thing that green tea is really good, but I want some people to know that if I have too much green tea, I can get really jittery. It's the quercetin in it. So just be very aware. If you're necking loads of green tea or green smoothies, matcha and everything, and you get the EBGBs, you might have the same. It's a genetic thing. It's a genetic thing. So do the slow compt in details. But just be very aware of that. But I do like green tea because of polyphenols. Hence the kombucha.
Yes.
Speaking of kombucha, if you're coming off alcohol, it's really handy because it gives you something. It does ramp you up a little bit. However, obviously it's a million times better for you. I'm not talking about real true alcoholism, but maybe. And having said that, I've brought people off alcohol, off real alcohol, not through rehab, and they've done the kombucha and they're still sober now. So, it's like, exactly. Yeah. Breath of Fire, brilliant. Great little download. Just Google Breath of Fire. It'll teach you how to do a really fast, almost like hyperventilating type breath work. If you are feeling, I am at capacity, 5 minutes. Breath of Fire, get an app and do it. Or Wim Hof, he's great. His app is great. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
Any other apps that you love?
Well, when I'm trying to focus, I put on my headphones and I will take some brain powder. I've not released it yet down here, but it's nootropics. It gets your brain focused. If I'm doing paperwork or I'm writing my books or something like that, I'll put headphones in and I'll listen to green noise. Okay. That would level out my distraction. So if I'm on the train working.
What's green noise?
It's just like, it's almost a bit like white noise, but it's on a different.
Is it nature?
It's going. Like that.
Different.
Yeah, it's a different way. Yeah, I would say.
What are your headphones? Do you have any good ones?
Yeah, now I've got a problem with this because I've got the Adidas ones and they are wireless, but you think, friggin' hell, all that EMF across my brain. Yes. But I'm like, do you know what? And it's like the same with lycra and plastic on your skin, and that's a hormone disruptor. I'm like, it's got me outside, it's got me running, it's a net positive.
Yes, weigh it all up, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love it if someone could create a lycra without plastic in it, but they've not.
No.
And don't try and tell me.
You tried Magnata?
I'm not.
They're merino, so they're perfect for wearing.
But what about, it's the bra?
I think they've actually still got lycra.
But I mean, so it's net positive.
Yeah.
They're getting there, aren't they?
Yeah,
so
they're working on it.
So for me, and a decent pair of trainers. I'm running in Hoka at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And I think that's
amazing.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much. There's so many great tips in there. Talking to you.
I know. I go on and on. I get
I love it. This is excitement. I get excited too.
Oh, bless you. Thanks for having me.
That was wonderful.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Beautiful Inside. If you enjoyed this, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend, leave a review, or give us a rating.